Yo, what's going on, you guys? KG Presents back out with another video, and today I'm here with some fantasy basketball sleepers for this upcoming basketball season. Fantasy basketball is right around the corner. The actual basketball season starts 3 weeks today, and I'm excited to see how things play out in the future. So if you're all ready, I'm ready. Let's get into today's video and let's get started. The first player I think is a sleeper and you definitely want to draft this upcoming season is Immanuel Quickley. The fifth-year guard finally has an opportunity to showcase his talent as a full-time starter this upcoming season with the Toronto Raptors. Quickley gave us a glimpse of what to expect this upcoming season when he averaged 19 points with 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 38 games for the Raptors last season. He played so well that the Raptors extended Quickley through the 2028-2029 season, entrusting him as their franchise point guard. He's going to be great this season, no doubt about it. He obviously is going to be having a chance to win the most improved player this season, and is definitely going to be a big factor for the Raptors this season. Following the midseason trade from the Knicks, his playing time went from 23 to 33 minutes per game. For those concerned about Scottie Barnes eating into Quickley's usage and other way around, he only saw a 2% decline with Barnes on the floor. So when Barnes was inactive, his usage was 24%, but when Quickley was playing without Scottie Barnes, he was still at 22%, so it's really not too much of a change at all. He's a versatile fantasy player who provides value in most categories except blocks and field goal percentage, but obviously you don't really worry about that too much with Immanuel Quickley. He's going to be scoring a lot of points this season, and I definitely think a good solid rebounds from him as well as about 7 assists a game or so. His ADP sits in the 5th round, but I move aggressively for him in the 4th because I expect he'll finish within the top 50 in both points and category leagues this upcoming season. Obviously, Immanuel Quickley could easily break out this season. There's no doubt about it. You saw the potential from last year when he was playing. Again, 19 points with 5 rebounds and 7 assists and 38 games for the Toronto Raptors last season. There is nobody behind him on the Raptors depth chart at all as the backup point guard that someone's going to be eating into his minutes. Nobody will be eating into his minutes at all. He is clearly the number 1 point guard on the Toronto Raptors. He has all to say in the world this season to prove himself as the second best player on Toronto Raptors behind Scottie Barnes. No doubt about it. Him and Scottie Barnes will be leading the Raptors to probably not that many wins because they're not the best team, but they'll be having some great fantasy success this season. So definitely be sure to draft Immanuel Quickley this upcoming season. Next up, we have Josh Giddey from the Chicago Bulls. Josh Giddey is getting a fresh start after 3 seasons with the OKC Thunder, as he's now been traded from the Thunder to the Chicago Bulls for Alex Caruso this past NBA offseason. Nothing went right really for him last year at all for many reasons. Of course, we all know about that one reason, but honestly on the court as well, it was the down season for Josh Giddey, and he didn't really play well at all for the Thunder last year. And even in the playoffs, they decided to bench him because of his lack of performance, leaning heavily towards more minutes for Isaiah Joe and Casey Wallace during the playoffs that the Thunder appeared in. Obviously, that wasn't good for Giddey, and you knew that he was going to get traded eventually, and now he's got traded to the Chicago Bulls for this upcoming season. He joins the Bulls franchise that will get Zach LaVine back, but with DeMar DeRozan gone and Lonzo Ball status still up in the air, he's going to be playing this season. He says he's going to play, but you don't really know how many minutes Lonzo will be playing this season. Who knows? Probably not going to be that much. Giddey's role in the rotation may not crystallize immediately because backcourt returnees Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White are the incumbent starters. However, Josh Giddey expected to leapfrog one of them and garner a starting role. I fully expect Josh Giddey to be starting at one point this season. I think honestly it very well probably will be Kobe White, LaVine, and Josh Giddey as the 1, 2, and 3 for the Bulls this upcoming season. And he very well is going to be having plenty of time to show off his skills on the basketball court, and he definitely could return to form and fend off the rest in the depth chart. He very well could be in store for a career season this season. I expect he's going to be getting a lot of usage for Chicago Bulls this upcoming year, as they really need someone to score, someone to be an all-around playmaker, rebounder, and he definitely could do that this upcoming season for Chicago Bulls. I wouldn't put it past them, and yes, definitely Josh Giddey I think will be a great addition onto your fantasy basketball roster. So if he's available and you want to take a chance on Josh Giddey, go for it. I think it'd be a great addition onto your squad. Next up, we have RJ Barrett from the Toronto Raptors. Now, last season, RJ Barrett was traded from the New York Knicks to the Toronto Raptors, and he did very well since being acquired by Toronto. After getting traded from the Knicks at the trade deadline to Toronto, he only was playing in 18 games for Toronto for the rest of the season, but within those 18 games, he averaged 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists over that span. Obviously, those are great numbers for RJ Barrett. There's no doubt about that. And I do have to take into consideration that in those games toward the end of the year, Scottie Barnes did not play at the end of the season for the Toronto Raptors, which does obviously play a factor in RJ Barrett's stats. Obviously, RJ Barrett's stats will go up if Scottie Barnes isn't playing. However, since Scottie Barnes is healthy and ready to go this season, those numbers will see a slight decrease. However, regardless of that, RJ Barrett is still definitely going to be putting up great numbers this season. I expect a very high usage for him, as Toronto's probably the third option behind Scottie Barnes and Immanuel Quickley. So yeah, so either way, RJ Barrett's going to be getting a ton of action this season. Hopefully he stays healthy, but if he keeps that kind of production up, throughout the entire season, and I'm not saying he's going to average 22 points per game, because he definitely is not, but he can easily average, I think, 19, 5, and 5 next season. And if he's able to do that, obviously that's a great fantasy asset, because he's going roughly about 100 like his ADP on ESPN drafts, I believe, and I think you can get some great value for RJ Barrett in that area. And yeah, I think he can definitely play much better than 100 for his entire year. So yeah, so if you want to take a chance on RJ Barrett, I think it'll be a great addition onto your roster. I think he can easily outperform his ADP of 100 for this upcoming season. So yeah, take a chance on him. Next up, we have Deni Avdija from the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, this NBA offseason, he got traded from the Washington Wizards to the Portland Trail Blazers, but at the end of the season for the Washington Wizards, he was absolutely going crazy at the end of the year. Over the last 3 months of the 2023-2024 NBA season, he averaged nearly 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists. Obviously, those are great numbers, regardless of what team you're on. Those are great numbers for Deni right there. If he can keep playing high mints for Portland, which I believe he should, they're not going to go and take a chance on Deni and play him off the bench. Well, I'd like to think that they're not stupid enough to do that. But if he is playing those high mints, which he should, he will definitely comfortably finish as a top 100 player this season. He's an all-around prospect who can generate stats across all fantasy categories, which is of course what you'd like to see for fantasy basketball. Whether you're in a points league or categories league, you want to get as many stats possible for your players. He's only 23 years old still, and he claims a polished floor game that set career best in playmaking as well last year, go along with the scoring and rebounding in his final season with the Washington Wizards. He's positioned for major minutes on a Portland team still in transition from the Damian Lillard era, and could be a major part of the next phase for the franchise. And I definitely think it could be, because I mean, again, he's only 23 years old. I think Portland's going to give him as much run as possible. Now, there's definitely the question of, are they going to be starting him or Sharp? And I think Sharp will probably come off the bench this season. We'll see how things play out with their lineup, of course, with Scoot and Simons and everything else going on in that Portland lineup. But I like to think that Deni will still start at the 3 next season. Sharp probably come off the bench. We'll see how things play out for Deni. Regardless of that, the minutes will definitely be there. He's definitely earned the minutes for the Portland Trail Blazers, and he's going to be putting up some great numbers this season. So obviously, take a chance on him. I definitely think he can be a top 100 player this season. Last but not least, we have Noah Clowney from the Brooklyn Nets. Clowney was slow out of the gate last season, but his production exploded down the stretch, averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks over the last 2 weeks of the season. The 6'9" Alabama product seems like a perfect fit for Brooklyn as the Nets begin to inject youth into a roster packed with veterans. He needs more minutes to fully realize his potential, but if he can cave out a larger role this season, the sky is clearly the limit for Noah Clowney. He's a risky sleeper, don't get me wrong. We don't really know how many minutes he's going to be playing this season. He is a power forward center, so of course, obviously the Nets have differently issues and players above him on the depth chart, such as Cam Johnson and Ben Simmons, of course, and Dorian Finney-Smith. But I think if Clowney is able to carve out a role for the Brooklyn Nets this season, like he did at the end of last year, I think the sky's the limit for him. Clowney has incredible upside and should be considered in the late rounds of fantasy drafts. It is definitely worth the risk to take a flyer on Noah Clowney in the last couple rounds of your draft. So if you enjoyed today's video, please share, like, subscribe for future content. I'll be doing another one of these fantasy basketball videos in the future as well. Hope you all have a great day, and hopefully these players help out in your fantasy drafts.